And we're back. And this is our Christmas episode. I mean, nothing really about Christmas, but Christmas is this week.
Christmas is this week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a Christmas episode.
Right. Well, you know, anything to get in the spirit. This was like my
I feel
time
like
to
you should have
shine.
worn like a Santa Claus hat.
Oh, I should have.
Why
didn't you tell me that before?
I didn't think of this was a Christmas episode. I thought it was
It's Christmas week. I feel like you're not mentally prepared for this.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I love Christmas. No one loves Christmas more than me.
No, they don't.
You started to love it because of me.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about Christmas.
No.
I feel like you lived a sad Christmas-less childhood.
Yeah, but it's an exciting week for us.
Exciting week. We put in our we don't have, you know, my family comes over. It's super small, not like a huge event, but we definitely plan out the menu. We put some thought into it, and we put in our orders at the seafood place, the meat market. You know, we put everything in like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, put everything in to pick it up. So exciting time to shine for the big guy.
That's my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really shine that day.
Yeah. What do we have on the menu?
I got a crown of lamb that I'm going to sous vide, then finish over the flames. I got thick cut bacon, uncut, like a slab of bacon that I'm going to cut myself. I'm going to do that like an appetizer with scallops.
How much do you love saying slab?
Slab bacon. I'll cut it, balsamic glaze, do it on the grill, both sides.
Extra crispy.
Render out a lot of that fat, but still have it like soft on the inside. I think they describe that word as unctuous. Like a fatty rendered out meat, but still chewy.
Okay.
It's unctuous.
Okay. Thank you.
So
teaching me.
Slab bacon, scallops, then a crown of lamb and filet mignon. And then
shrimp cocktail, obviously.
Cocktail.
We'll have like a array of meats and cheeses.
Yeah. It's going to be beautiful.
I can't really eat any of it.
Well, you could eat like the scallops probably.
I can have, scallops, shrimp, and maybe 2 bites of steak.
A little baby filet.
I can have actually 57 grams of
protein.
Of
well, you could eat the shrimp cocktail for your lunch protein, and then you know what I mean.
No
your
cinnamon
third
bun.
meal, you could have the scallops. Then your last meal will have.
I can have all that stuff. I can have a little bit of I weigh.
As long as your macros are there.
Do you even know what that means?
Yeah,
you do.
Of course.
Good for you. Yeah, it just kind of sucks. But I still get excited, even preparing it. I think you and me love hosting and having people over.
I like the pressure.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You like when you kind of have two things going on at once and you're running in and out of the house to the grill.
Yeah. If you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
Yeah. And then I get mad at you for not closing the door and it gets cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that grill super hot.
Yeah.
600 degrees.
But
Okay.
No, I get mad when you don't close the door going in and sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so we're excited for that. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all we got going on.
We're not an eggnog family.
I always say I don't like eggnog, but I don't know if I've ever had it.
Yeah, I've never really had it.
I think
either.
just the thought of it kind of grosses me out. I like, what's the one that...
I think one time I had it, it was like one that was like a homemade one, but it wasn't churned enough, and it was like
I hate that word.
Like chunky with the
stop.
eggs. And it was really gross.
That's not good. I just always picture
it's like drinking raw eggs.
I picture in movies when people get drunk on eggnog and then throw it all up at the end of the night.
Yeah, it's gross.
I like the I don't know what it's called. It starts with a C. It's like Spanish cultures have. It's like their version of eggnog. I feel like I sound like super white right now, but it's
no, that's really good.
I don't know, but it's basically creamy. It has cinnamon in it or something like that.
And then can't you put Fireball in that, and then it's a drink?
That's a cinnamon toast crunch.
Oh, cinnamon toast crunch. Yeah,
yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
yeah. But whatever I don't know. Horchata. Okay,
thanks.
That's an
Rain.
H.
How'd you know that? Oh, wow. Horchata.
Okay, okay. Google. I was like, damn, even you know. Okay. Yeah, horchata. That's what I like. I've had protein powder, that flavor before.
Have you had that? Oh, protein powder. I hate any cinnamon protein.
Yeah, you do.
I really, really do. It's a
but
really
you don't
gross
mind
thing.
cinnamon
I
stuff.
think cinnamon should be I don't like cinnamon ice cream either. Cinnamon is a spice with hot foods, not cold. in my opinion.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like a hot apple crisp.
Hot apple crisp, I welcome the cinnamon.
Oatmeal, cinnamon.
Oatmeal, I welcome the cinnamon.
Like a latte.
A latte, I welcome the cinnamon. But like if it was like cinnamon swirl ice cream, fuck off.
You don't like any like cinnamon flavored ice cream, like Cinnabon or something like that.
No.
Well, I like that brown. Like I like that one brown sugar ice cream.
Oh yeah, that one's good. Yeah,
but that's a little different. That's
not
really
cinnamon. It's brown sugar.
Yeah,
just the same color.
Just it's kind of like in the same.
It's not.
It's the same color and it's in the same pantry.
Yeah, but very different flavor. Right.
I like them both.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway.
UFC fights this past weekend.
Yep. One of the fights on the undercard that I thought was interesting was I don't know. Obviously, I'm queen of butchering names, but Jordan and Ewell.
Mm-hmm.
So Jordan's
Canadian.
Yeah, he's
been around.
Yeah, he was like literally grabbing, like clinching the guy, like Muay Thai clinch, and kneeing him in the face so many times while the other guy was against the cage, and it was like kind of like the most like violent like knees I've seen, and I just don't understand why the other guy didn't just put a knee down, because he was
he holding him up? Did it look like
not
a front
really
headlock type
he was
thing,
like kind
or a Thai
he was
clinch?
Like bent over, like he wasn't like the Thai clinch where they're standing straight up. He was like kind of bent over, and I'm like, if he literally just puts his hand on the mat, both hands, or just drops a knee, then he won't get kneed in the head. I didn't understand.
Maybe the very first knee that landed, he was like concussed and couldn't think to do that. That's probably what it was. He's probably kind of
just overwhelmed. Yeah. But it was like I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I was thinking, I'm like, this guy's knees are insane. Like, I've never seen anyone do that. And I'm like, oh, because anyone would just put their knee down on the ground.
I mean, you've seen some the worst knees I can remember seeing from like a clinch was Anderson Silva with Rich Franklin. Do you remember that?
No.
That's before your time.
Before my time.
That's quite a while ago, but it was the best display of like.
But were they in the middle of the cage?
Kind of.
That's different.
But his like nose was like on the other side of his face. It was the worst like knees that I've seen, but this was also very violent.
Yeah, but I just thought that was
it was impressive.
We had Gamrot versus Diego Fiera.
Yeah, that fight. I was interested in that fight just because that was Diego Fiera was Gregor's last opponent, and he's been a top 10 guy. He's got some big wins. He got a finish over Anthony Pettis. I thought he looked really good against Gregor, who just got tired. So I was excited to see him fight. How do you pronounce his name?
Gamrot.
Yeah, he's from Poland. He was that KSW double champ. You know that
league? Oh, yeah.
That's a legit league. That's where like Jan Blachowicz started. A lot of good guys have come from there. But he's a really
it's
tough.
Kind of like the other side of the country, CFFC.
Kind of, yeah. Well, probably even better.
Yeah.
But I was excited to see that. I kind of thought Diego Fiera was going to win, especially with his like level of grappling. But this guy finished him. Yeah. So that was a big win. So he's going to be now, definitely I would say he'll probably be ranked. So now there's a lot of good guys from that like 15 to 10 rank. That weight class is just so deep that, it's like 20 good fighters. Right. But he's going to move up, and, that's another really good guy to keep an eye out for. Yeah. Maybe his name would be like kind of close to Gregor. So maybe that's a potential matchup. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's still kind of ranked below, but But yeah, you never know. I could see that, especially because they both beat the same person. Like recently. Sometimes that works. Yeah, like that. So then there was Lemos versus Hill. I was kind of just like ignorant. I was just like, oh, I never heard of this girl. I don't know if Angela Hill. Like, you have to be pretty experienced. She's obviously super experienced. I just kind of thought, I never heard of this girl. Like, Angela Hill will probably like get the win over her. And I still, I think it was a great fight. Right when I watched it, I even put my notes. I was like, potential fight of the night, and it did get fight of the night. It was a really exciting fight. The girl is like, it was basically just like kind of like movement and speed versus power. This girl, I guess it was like her fourth or fifth UFC fight, and she has a lot of finishes. She's like undefeated in the UFC. I don't know about before, but she has a lot of power, and at 115 she's like, so that I didn't know that. I just
never, you know what I mean? I didn't notice that, but she definitely has power. She dropped her twice with front kicks to the face.
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty crazy. But it was definitely a super competitive fight, but I thought Angela Hill won. And the big thing is, like, everyone's like, oh, it's such a robbery. It's such a robbery. I hate when it's like a fight is like a robbery and they're like, oh, well, you got fight of the night. You got the bonus. It's like,
well, the bonus is supposed to be the bonus, not instead of your win bonus.
Yes. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a bonus means in addition
on top.
to.
Yes.
Right.
So a lot of people have been talking about, you know, I've seen it on the internet about how, you know, because of that bad judge's call, it cost her, Angela Hill, $70,000.
Well, people always say that, but really it's like $73,000 because the next fight you don't move up.
Yes.
You know, every fight you move up if you win. Otherwise, your pay stays the same.
Yeah, a lot of people I think don't understand that. So if you're getting whenever you're getting paid, every fight your pay increases if you win. Only if you win. So if you lose 3 fights in a row, you're getting paid the same each time. But if that's how you kind of, you know, move up in the pay scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what sucks is like, and it sucks because you can, you know, get a bonus, but that doesn't make up for it, you know. And she's been kind of on, I think her last couple fights, she's kind of been on the wrong end of a decision. So they were saying like,
yeah, but they seem to really like her though. She stays active. She puts on exciting fights.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few fights that she's gotten fight of the night. I think with Karate Hottie, she also got fight of the night. She has a few times, but yeah, like kind of.
Someone
she's
that's
not in jeopardy of getting cut or anything. They really like her. They give her favorable matchups. It seems
she kind of is in that position where she's probably never, you know, she's never going to be like top 5 or maybe not really. If she's top 10, like lower end, but she's super exciting to watch, and she, you know, obviously can fight very often. She said she said this fight wasn't short notice for her. It was 4 weeks. So she's like, oh, that's amazing. She goes, usually I take fights on like 1 week's notice.
Well, that's good because the women's division needs someone like that, needs more people like that. Like the men's division has lots of guys like that, like just like tough roster guys that put on exciting fights, and they're, you know, they'll fight anyone. They're willing to jump in short notice, but women's doesn't have like a ton of that. But that's how you build like the roster. Like, oh, it doesn't have to be Amanda Nunes to watch. Like, oh, I like Angela Hill. She's good, you know, puts on exciting fights. So I think that's important to have. You think
that's just time? Like,
yeah, of course.
You know, because now you're starting to see that, but that division's been around for a while.
Right.
You know, but
exactly.
And also like, you know, them promoting other fighters besides the champion.
Right.
I think that helps. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she's on the next card, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that doesn't make up. It's easy to say that, oh, she fights often, she'll be fine, she's not going to get cut. It's still a lot of money to lose just because, like, one judge, you know, the judges say you weren't. It sucks, but that's how it is. We had the Wonder Boy Thompson versus Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah, Bilal Muhammad was super impressive. Really used his wrestling really well.
Took him down. He had no answers.
Usually Wonder Boy historically has been really difficult to get taken down, but like the last fight against Gilbert Burns, he got taken down like more than he did like most of his career. So I don't know, maybe I think he relies so much on speed that maybe if he starts slowing down, he's like 38 years old. Like if he starts slowing down a little bit, maybe that speed goes away, then it's a little easier to close the distance on him and take him down. But he's super tough, but I wasn't that surprised with that because, like, you know, I think Bilal Muhammad has better takedowns than even like Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns was able to take him down. Right. So
I think maybe it's just for Wonder Boy, it's just like you said, maybe like the time is it's hard. He's at the top of the level. Maybe if he was fighting guys a little bit down a little bit more, it would be a different story. But when your biggest asset is your speed and agility, that's hard when you get older.
Right. Yeah, because speed and agility doesn't last.
Yeah.
Like the technique does, the strength and power they say does.
Yeah.
But speed and agility is something that doesn't last too long. Not saying that he doesn't have it anymore, but if
at the
he dips
top
off a little
level,
bit, it's gonna be tough because he doesn't have like a super like big background in grappling where you could rely on like the technical defense.
Yeah.
So he usually relies on motion and distance. But yeah, I don't know. It's now Bilal Muhammad. He's got quite a bit of momentum. I think I bet maybe he could fight like maybe him and Sean Brady. I think next makes a lot of sense.
Oh, that's a good fight.
Yeah, I'd love to see that fight.
Are they like friends?
Are they?
Or maybe that's just because they're both friends with Paul Felder. I'm confusing them.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'd be into that fight.
Yeah, I could see that fight happening. It's kind of good. It makes a lot of sense.
Like you said, good timing. Like Sean Brady kind of just fought.
Yeah.
And he fought, so.
I think I like Sean Brady in that fight.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense. It's a good fight.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
And then the main event, Derek Lewis versus, I can never say his name, Dawkins. I always say Dukakis because I think of Secaucus, New Jersey.
Oh. Okay.
So every time I say his name, I say Dukakis, and I know that's not right, but I just say that automatically.
Yeah, Dawkins actually came in. I think he came in a slight favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
And I was a little surprised at that. That would have been a good fight to bet on because Derek Lewis has a chance to beat anyone, especially if he's an underdog. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to, for anyone to fight him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really that surprised. Derek's probably 40 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah.
And with that type of power, and he's got so many big fights. Dox is definitely very good, but it's just hard to match up. Like if you're like a striker to match up with Derek Lewis, because eventually he's going to land something, and you got to be a really, really technical striker, like Surreal Gone, where like he kept his distance and like he couldn't even get close to him. Mm-hmm. Where I think Dawkins swings a lot. And it's just, it was just a tough matchup. But I think he's going to have a really good career still.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny that Derek Lewis, they said something along the lines of, I don't want a title fight unless you change it to a 3-round fight.
Yeah.
Like, don't come at me with these 5-round fights.
Yeah. He's like, I just want 3-round fights. He's like, they're like, oh, are you looking at the title? And he's like, yeah, but not if it's 5 rounds. He's like, if it's 5 rounds, I don't want any of that. He's like, I just want 3-round fights, which I thought was just like amazing. He's just
so honest and real that's why everyone loves everyone. I mean, that's like, it's so easy to say, but he's just so honest and real, and like it comes off as like amazing. Anytime
like he makes show, he's funny. It's like funny when he does it, but sometimes it's just so natural for him. Whatever it is, he has that where you want him to win because you want to hear what he says after.
Definitely.
And then so I remember like obviously the classic where he takes his shorts off in the fight. So he was playing with his shorts, so you thought like I was like, oh, is he gonna do it again? And he pulls out his groin cup. And then he throws it in the crowd, but like it's at Apex, so there's a crowd, but it's not that big of a crowd. I'm like, he's gonna hit someone in the head. He threw it, and then they kind of glanced to the small audience they had, and some guy like definitely ran down a few steps, picked it up, and like ran back, and he was like. He was like pumped to get it, like
So he like he caught a foul ball at a baseball game.
Exactly.
And he was holding this guy's used cup.
I mean, if you like someone used cup threw at me, I would be like, ugh, and like run away. I wouldn't touch it.
But he was like holding it like a
it's not like it's
probably brought it home for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not like it was a mouthpiece, which
put it on his mantle.
A mouthpiece is still gross, but like
the mouthpiece is definitely gross.
But a cup
is more gross.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, but he was proud of that.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah. You got a souvenir from the big fight night.
Yeah, well, Derek Lewis. Big deal.
But yeah. Now it's kind of sucks because there's not going to be fights for a while.
A couple weeks, right?
I think there might not even be fights till mine.
I think that's true.
Yeah, which is crazy because that's like 4 weekends.
Maybe there's one before yours. I'm not positive.
Yeah.
We should have looked at that. But
no, I think mine's the first one in
really?
A year.
Wow.
Who knows? But that's actually really sad.
It is.
Oh, then we'll have like 2 weekends in a row with no fights. That sucks.
We'll figure it out.
We'll just have to watch more Christmas movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then the other big fight was the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley 2, and maybe you can give us some inside scoop because you were there.
I was there. I decided to go. It was kind of like a last minute thing, but I went with Jake Shields. He went with Nate Diaz, and they had one of their teammates, Chris Avila. he was on the undercard and he got a good win, really impressive win. He was really good boxing. Really nice kid too. I got to hang out with him. He was cool. But that was quite an experience. I've been to like, you know, dozens of UFC fights, like the biggest fights. I was at when Conor McGregor fought Jose Aldo, when Conor McGregor fought at MSG against Eddie Alvarez. I've been at some really, really big UFC fights. This felt as exciting of an atmosphere or more exciting of an atmosphere than any UFC fight that I've ever been to. We got there pretty early on the card because we watched Chris Avila was on the undercard. So usually you wouldn't go for the undercard, especially boxing. I was kind of like annoyed with that. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to watch all this boxing, but I wanted to watch him. Really nice kid.
Yeah.
But it was already packed. Like people went to the fight really early.
Because at UFC events, it's not like that.
A UFC event, the undercard is empty.
Yes.
It's literally empty. Like, you know, just the family.
Yes.
Yeah. This was not like that. This was pretty packed pretty early in the card. By the time he fought, it was probably 3/4 of the way packed. And he was like, he wasn't even the last on the undercard. He was in the middle of the undercard.
And that's interesting because, you know, if it's not like that for UFC, where most UFC fans that go know all the fighters.
Right.
You know what I mean? They know a lot or a good amount of the fighters, but most people there were there for the main event for Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. And I guarantee most of those people don't know one other person on the card.
They definitely don't. And I don't think they even care about watching Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, but they've created such a draw, such an event that like every single person was just like happy to be there. They were proud to be there. Like everyone was as dressed up as you could possibly be. Every girl was completely done up, you know, crazy outfits.
Yeah.
Every guy, you know, there's all like crazy jewelry with like giant chains and face tattoos, like all like, you know, it was a much younger crowd, but everyone was there. Then like in between the fights, you'd go out in the hall and everyone would be like partying.
Yeah.
Like, tons of people all around. And it was just like such an event. Like if the UFC was like the same weekend, like in the same time, I mean, I think more people would, that's the only fight league or fighting event that could compete with the UFC. Like if you go to a Bellator fight, I mean, it's empty. It feels like you're at like a high school wrestling
It's
match.
usually just the fighters, friends and family.
Yeah. Or a PFL. It's completely empty.
Yeah.
They can't give the tickets away. This was the same as like a major UFC pay-per-view card.
Wow. That's
it really felt like that. It was really wild. But it's funny because a lot of like the famous like YouTube, TikTok people are there, and at one point like everyone stopped during the fight and everyone was like turned around and looked at what was happening.
Oh, this was during the girl fight, the co-main event.
No, it was during when the football player fought
the fight before that. Because I remember I was watching it at home and I texted you. I was like, what's going on? Because you could just see everyone in the stands. Like you could tell something happened in the stands. Everyone's standing up, turning around. And I was like, it was so crazy that like, I'm surprised the two fighters fighting didn't stop and look. It
was insane. Every single person, no one was watching the fight, but the fight kept going and everyone was just watching what was happening. So I was in the very front row. I was literally sitting next to Jake Paul's mom and I stood up on my chair so I could see what was happening. And what was happening was those kids, the Island Boys, you know, with like the hair.
Yeah, I know who the Island Boys are.
Yeah, Island Boy. Yeah. So they were at the fight and everyone was just throwing stuff at him and like yelling at him. They are hated.
Yeah.
They're not like, you know, some people like them, some people hate them. Like everyone hates them.
They were throwing drinks at them?
Everyone was throwing drinks at them, full water bottles, full cups of beer, just throwing all over.
And they weren't, the crowd wasn't rowdy like that.
No, everyone was having fun. But they walked in and it was like an uproar of booze and it was crazy. Like I didn't realize they were that hated. I thought there was like just like a meme.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And yeah, they're really hated. But it was kind of funny because before that even happened, when they walked in, I kind of really wanted to get a picture taken with them.
You told me, you were texting me and you're like, oh, the Island Boys are here. I'm like, you better get a fucking picture with them.
They had like security guards and I don't think they were going to take pictures with anybody because I think they're used to everyone just like being so mean to them.
Oh.
Yeah, but
I don't know
really
much
feel
about.
Bad for them. I don't think they're cool.
Yeah, I don't. I just know them from like, we're obviously older, and I'm like, I don't really understand. I just thought, I was like, oh my god, a picture of like you and the Island Boys would like totally.
I know. I wish I did.
So funny, but yeah, I didn't realize they were here. I know like one of them, I think like beat up his girlfriend and stuff.
And a big thing too that I found out. I guess this week they went on Logan Paul's podcast, and during the podcast, they asked them a question about like finances or something, and they got really offended and just walked off in the middle of the podcast. So I think like Logan Paul and his whole crew
kind of like people see that and they're loyal to them, so then they don't like them because of that.
Because I was actually sitting next to at a different point, I was sitting next to this guy. And I had no idea who it was, but it was Logan Paul's co-host for his podcast.
It's like Mike something.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
He's a really nice guy. I was talking to him, and I even mentioned, I was like, I was trying to get a picture with them. He's like, no, fuck that. He's like, you get more hate than like for a picture with them. I was like, oh, damn. Because I'm like so removed from like that world. I just thought they were like cartoon characters. Yeah. Like getting a picture with like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not. They're like, it's like getting a picture with like, like a bad guy.
Right.
Like getting a picture with Trump or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the type of hate you'd get. But a lot of people like Trump. Nobody likes these guys.
Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah. Okay.
It was pretty wild.
And then was there like a lot of people, obviously there's a lot of like influencers there, TikTok and stuff. How was it like they all have like camera crews around them and stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like I didn't know that, but even like through the hotel, and you'd see people out at night, and you'd see these big like TikTok, YouTube people, and they'd have like a camera crew, like with a camera, like following them around, and like a sound thing following them around, and you'd be like, oh, who is that? And it's like not like a movie star, or not like a Kardashian. It's like, some TikToker. Like I met this one guy. And it turned out he had like 10 million followers on TikTok. He's a famous guy, but he was doing videos the whole time. And he was like kind of hanging out with our group. Yeah. But then there's a lot of people just like him. It's just such a event for that type of thing. It's like they're there
one just to like the interactions with other people and just like
collabs.
Collabs and then content, it's like kind of like the big word content.
Yeah. Content collabs, but it was such a big,
The only thing like, I think it's easy people that aren't in that world to like make fun of them and be like, they're not even good at anything. I'm like,
they are good at something.
The hustle that they do, and they're on at that, and they're entertaining, and obviously they're good at something because people, whether you think it's stupid or not, people are watching. Right. And when people are watching,
plus the look, they all have like a special look. Like there's so much that goes into that. But obviously, I think I'm like too old for that type of thing. But it is interesting, though. They're nice kids. I had a lot of fun.
I always feel like when you're like around people like that are like influencers, they always seem like they're like nicer than like normal people because they're just like so into like open into like meeting people and talking to different people. And I don't know.
They're super into meeting people. Like a lot of people were like, because I mean, I'm not famous, but a lot of people were just coming up to me because I was like with that group. And right away, they like start asking you questions and ask for your social media. And,
really?
Yeah. And like everyone just wants to become friends. Like I'm not used to that.
You should. Yeah. You're like, I don't know you. Don't talk to me.
Like, why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have plugged a podcast.
I mentioned a podcast a few times.
Good. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, another funny thing that happened at the fight. This involved Ariel Helwani.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was sitting cage side. And I was sitting with Jake Shields, and Ariel was the only person in the arena that was wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So Jake took a picture of him, or like a little video of him, and he tweeted it out. And he said, Ariel is the only person in Florida that wears a mask. Thanks for keeping us safe. Like 3 minutes later, Ariel got up from his chair ringside and walked up to us and called Jake out. He was like, why'd you put me on blast like that?
Oh my God.
And it was so uncomfortable. And I was like, just sitting next to him.
Oh, I'm like uncomfortable now thinking about it.
Jake is like, calls people out. He just does. Like his Twitter is just all like calling out reporters and calling out, people with different political ideologies. But he doesn't like when like journalists are critical of fighters. So he throws it right back at him,
which,
you know,
Ariel Helwani has a past where he is very critical of fighters.
Well, maybe I don't. Yeah, I guess he probably is. But Ariel said to Jake, he was like, haven't I always been fair to you? Did I ever say anything disparaging about you or the team? And then another guy was right next to him. He's like, have I ever said anything about Jake or the Diaz brothers? And then he looked at me. He's like, haven't I always been good to you? And I was like, me? I was like, yeah, I guess. But I don't know what he thought. And then I was thinking, though, because you had a bit of a falling out with him the one time. And I was going to say, well, you've been good to me, but kind of a dick to my wife.
You should have said that.
I didn't say that. Yeah.
You kind of choked.
Yeah, I kind of choked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like, what is going on? Like, but Jake does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
He just tweeted it right out.
Well, that's why we like
and
him.
they've been battling since then on
their
Twitter. So if you guys go to either of their Twitters, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. But that's the thing I like about Jake. Like, no matter what, he's like Ariel came right up to him and he'll be like, well, what?
He didn't back down. He didn't say, oh, I'm sorry.
He's like, what? I said, you had a mask on. You do. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. He's like, oh, Showtime, Amy.
Yeah, that's what he said. But Florida does not care about masks. It was like amazing. There's millions of people everywhere, and it's like COVID never happened. Everyone was just so relaxed and happy and just positive, and no one's complaining. It's a special place. Yeah, it's quite a bit different than New York.
Right. Right now, like on my TikTok feed, I have like New York TikTok, and it's all that comes up is talking about. They're like, even one of my friends from Texas, Haley, she was like, are you okay there? All I'm seeing on TikTok is how crazy COVID is there. I'm like, I don't know. I'm fine. I'm doing the same thing. But they show in New York City, it's like 3-hour lines for all the testing sites.
Oh, yeah.
But also, too, I think like they said like, oh, they're like, it's because SantaCon was last weekend. And then all these people. And then I saw like some girl was like, I'm double vaccinated and I have the booster and I didn't go out for SantaCon and I have COVID. She's like, I'm so pissed. But like some other girl complaining, she was like in college and she's like, my dorms are closing and I have COVID. So like, where am I supposed to go? I can't go to my family. And she's like, they're like, she's like, I can't even go anywhere. Like and the COVID place, they have like COVID hostel type things, and they're
probably so gross.
Ooh, so gross. I can't even imagine. Yeah. But yeah, they're like, people in the streets are like, it's so bad that everyone's standing out here in this new variant is COVID's so dangerous, but yet people are able to stand outside in the cold for 4 hours just to find out if they have it or not. But it's funny because it's just so weird how like that's going on. And then at the same time you were in Florida and you would totally don't.
Everyone was having the time of their life.
No one was thinking about it.
No one's thinking about
or talking about it or anything.
Yeah. But you know what? You can't complain about it. If you live in New York, California, like you can't complain about it because that's the way it is. It's always going to be. If you want to do something about it, move to Florida or Texas. Yeah. Because I don't complain about it here. New York sucks. Yeah. It's like when people asked, when I was down there, a lot of people are, oh, where are you from? And you say
you're
New
like
York.
Embarrassed.
New York used to be like the coolest place to be from. Like you'd be like, oh, I'm from Long Island or New York, and people would think that was cool. Like, oh, I love New York. Now it's like, oh man, it sucks. What's it like up there? Like everyone is like sympathetic for you. Yeah. But so I can't complain about it anymore. You just have to move. You either move to Florida or Texas, or you just get used to.
Yeah, you just do what you have to. Yeah.
Right.
There are other options. You don't have to. You're not like totally stuck.
Yeah. Exactly. But all in all, very fun weekend. Well, we didn't really even talk about the fight, actually.
Yeah. I thought, for my opinion, Tyron Woodley did better than he did in the first fight. The first fight, I felt like he didn't do anything. And this fight, and because to me, I'm like, okay, your chance to win is not because you're a skilled boxer. It's because you have knockout power. But if you don't throw any punches, how are you going to get the knockout? He was literally just standing there waiting for one punch. But then it's like, if it doesn't happen, you're losing every round. This fight, he seemed to be a little bit more aggressive, and he
was clinching him up.
He was clinching him up. So I wondered if that was
try
like,
to get him tired. Maybe.
Yeah, try to get him tired. I assumed right away. I'm like, oh, okay, he's switched it up, and he's like, no, he did a totally different strategy. But yeah, I mean, he was like. It was pretty good, but I mean, you can't you can't deny. I mean, he got knocked out cold.
Yeah. Well, one thing that Jake Paul does, I think that what he does the best is his flinching, like, or you call it fainting, whatever. But when he faints, it really makes people like bite on it. And I think when he like flinches hard, like he's going to the body, then he came over with that right hand,
and his corner was
obviously hits really, really hard. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
He hits hard because you can't. He's putting a lot of people to sleep.
Like? I mean, I can never tell when I look at guys. Is he like quite a bit bigger?
Yeah, he's quite a bit bigger.
Because I remember when they first fought, I was like, oh my God, he is way bigger.
He's quite a bit bigger.
And then like,
he's longer.
I mean, like, I'm not saying that's why he won or whatever, but it's weird that they do that because in boxing, they're so crazy with the weight classes. Like they have like weight classes every like 6 pounds, 6 or 7 pounds. So like,
well, it's like Tyron Woodley fought 170, you know, and I think he was a decent sized 170 pounder, but this is like 192, I believe. So it's like just like him his walking around weight,
right?
You know, maybe even more than his walking around weight. I don't know if he cut more than 20 pounds, but yeah, it was really impressive that he, you know, just has that type of power. So now it's always what's next. I think it would be really cool if he fought Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
Because that's a step up in like the boxing.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz is throwing
Nate
combination.
Diaz is so small compared to him.
But Nate Diaz is small in terms of like what he weighs, but it would look like he's a lot longer. Tyron Woodley is like short and like thick. Where Nate Diaz is long. Nate Diaz is taller than I am. He's probably 6'1". Yeah. So he's probably the same height as Jake Paul. So I could see Nate Diaz, like, I mean, he throws jabs. Tyron Woodley doesn't throw jabs. Yeah, he boxes. He goes to the body. Tyron doesn't really go to the body. I could see like I would love to see him fight Nate Diaz. I think that would be a great fight. And his cardio, he's known for his durability. I think that would be a really cool fight.
I think that'd be a cool fight. It's just annoying with the weight difference because that's, you know.
Yeah, I mean they could be like, oh, let's do it at 185.
Yeah,
you know. I don't think Nate Diaz cares.
No, I know he doesn't, but it sucks for if you're watching the fight and you want it to be like a competitive fight, you want it to just put someone, oh, here, just go together. And it's like, oh, that makes size makes a difference in fights.
Well, the other option that I was thinking was I could see maybe the Anderson Silva fight, but I don't want that fight to happen because I like the Jake Paul events. And if Anderson fought him, Anderson's going to beat him, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. He looks like, I mean, he's definitely bigger. Anderson's about 6'3". And he's just a really skilled boxer.
I want like bigger. Jake Paul to keep winning because it's fun. I don't know. For some reason, like MMA fighters and people I know, they get so mad at him. And the only thing I can think of is I'm like, oh, you're just like jealous of his like success. I'm like, I think he's great. I think he's great for the sport because you know what's happening is like some of the YouTuber and people are getting into fighting and then they go to some of them go to UFC events and they promote it. And you want all these people with millions of followers and it's like kind of like this next generation. You want them to be into the sport. It just brings more attention. So if you don't want that, you're just, I don't know. I just feel like that's super.
This is the only organization that could compete with, I don't know if it's an organization, whatever you want to call it, but that could compete with the UFC. It really could. It doesn't do shows very often, so it won't compete with the UFC, but massive
popularity.
Massive. Yeah. It's incredible. The other thing that people have been saying, I guess Jake Paul in one of his interviews said that he was going to at some point transition to MMA.
Right.
So I was just thinking, that's a much more difficult approach because I was thinking what type of fighter would you have him fight? Because you couldn't really get anyone like a washed out UFC guy, even if he had a bunch of losses. If someone's like a well-known name in the UFC, they're going to beat him almost no matter what. Like even like a Diego Sanchez or something.
What about like a Mike Perry?
Oh, Mike Perry is like, beating him up, you know? So you can't really get like a washed out MMA guy. So then I was thinking you'd have to get just like he's getting non-boxers to box him, you'd have to get a non-fighter to fight him. So maybe get a boxer to come over. But he wrestled in high school. I can't see like a well-known boxer being like, all right, I'll go fight like a good, well-known boxer to go into MMA against a decent boxer with a wrestling background. Like Jake Paul's going to beat most boxers in an MMA fight just because he was a decent wrestler.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, what could it be? And I think the best possible person for him to fight MMA, what do you think I'm going to say?
I have no idea.
I think it would be Gordon Ryan.
Oh my God.
Because it's getting someone you need someone with massive fan base, which Gordon has. Mm-hmm. But Gordon's never fought, and he has 0 striking. He only has 1 discipline, just jiu-jitsu. So, if Jake could keep it standing, he'd probably win. He's got a wrestling background.
And more striking.
Yeah, and more striking. But, if it went to the ground, obviously, and Gordon has really good takedowns too. But I think
Big Sur, the matchmaker.
As a matchmaker, that's
amazing.
If he was going to transition to MMA, I think the fight that makes the most sense is Gordon Ryan.
That's amazing. I wonder what we got to talk to Gordon about this, get his opinion on it.
Yeah, I think he'd be down.
The only thing is he can't use a mouthpiece because he gags.
Yeah, well, he could figure that out.
Yeah.
But they might try to be like, oh, we'll do Dylan Dennis, but Dylan Dennis will never do it anyway. Yeah. And he's had pro fights, only a couple, but that would be the most perfect fight, I think.
Right.
Because it's like striker,
and they're both like
grappler.
bigger, they seem,
massive draws.
That would be really good.
So if he transitions to MMA, I'm really petitioning for Jake Paul, Gordon Ryan.
Me too. I'm on board. Yeah, like you said, it's really hard to find matchups in MMA for these kind of stylistic matchups because boxing, it's easier to match people up. That's why they have like celebrity boxing matches because they don't have celebrity MMA matches. It's too hard and there's too much involved with it.
And you couldn't bring Jake up along like how you would any other fighter where you fight like low level people and you go through a regional scene. Like it wouldn't make sense for him to fight like some guy who's 0-0 off the street. You have to get a star with some fighting ability,
right?
But not too much fighting ability, and I don't think a boxer's doing it. So I think you have to go Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, that's great.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe we can, if that matchup goes into fruition later, I feel like you are the first person to say that.
I am the first person to say that.
We'll put that on record on this podcast. So you came up with that idea first.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, what we get? We got some fan questions or listener questions.
Yeah, we got a couple of them. First one is, how do you keep your weight from bouncing back and forth? I keep losing and gaining 20 to 30 pounds. Well, I have the same issue. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask. Every time I fight,
your whole weight loss is lose 30 pounds. Gain it right back.
Yeah, every time I fight, it's like, okay, I have the 20 pound weight cut. So I don't know. If you find the answer, maybe you could let us know because I don't know.
Well, if they're losing 20 and putting 20 back on, that's what it is. I would say don't try to lose 20, try to lose 10 and keep it off. So maybe 10, maybe 20 is just so hard that you can't maintain it. So you just binge out and go right back up. Where if you go on 10, maybe that's probably what you should weigh. Yeah. Maybe 20 is too light and then 20 more is, too heavy. So meet in the middle. Just try to, don't do as drastic of a cut because cutting weight is not sustainable, where dieting is sustainable. So try to lose 7 pounds, 10 pounds, not 20.
I think people that have that aren't, even if you're like not athletes, just anyone, if they're having trouble with that, I think that's when you have to like track your food. And they like you said, we talked about before, like tracking your macros and you find out what numbers you are. And then that, according to that, you adjust it for maintenance, gaining, and then losing. And so I think if you're doing that, you have to, and you're struggling with staying somewhere, then I think you need to like track your stuff, which it's not easy, but a lot of people do that. But yeah, I think you just have to like track all your food, and then that's the only way you prevent yourself.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
That's something I don't do. I track it in camp when I'm getting paid to lose weight. Then that's easy. I need the motivation of a paycheck.
Right.
Some people are like, oh, how do you work out so much? Or like, how do you diet? I'm like, I need to be paid to do it. If I'm not paid to do it, I'll work out, but not like I am in camp. But yeah, if you get paid, it's a lot easier. Okay, next. What's your favorite vacation spot?
My favorite vacation spot. Well, I guess I would probably say St. Martin is probably my favorite vacation spot, but we haven't really been vacationing a whole lot.
Well, most people haven't because of COVID.
Yeah,
obviously.
well, since COVID and even before that though, I really like my like ideal like way to spend like if I have time like designated vacation, I like to stay here and go on our boat and like go to the beaches here.
Well, we live on the water, have a boat, and there's a beach 10-minute boat ride from us. So like, you know, we're super spoiled where we live, and the only thing is we only have a couple months out of the year.
Right.
But that's like my favorite. Like that's just our normal weekend, and I think that's like, you know, people would pay money for that for a vacation to be able to do that. So I think
prefer that than traveling somewhere.
Yeah, but I think people that probably, you know, don't live near the beach, then that if beach is your, like for us, we like the beach. That's our like vacation things. But I like going to our friend Melissa in St. Martin. She owns a Henzo Gracie gym there. It's like the most ideal situation for us because we get to train jujitsu and go to the beach, and it's not like a touristy spot where there's like a lot of people. All. So you really feel like a local there. The food's really good.
So yeah, we have a car.
Yeah.
Go to different restaurants.
It's
like you live there.
Food's really good. I think that's like my favorite spot. I love it there so much that like if we go to other places, I'm always like comparing it to there, and I'm like, this is nice, but not like that.
Yeah, I can't stand anything like a resort type thing. I really don't like stuff like that where it's just so like scheduled.
Yeah.
Almost like, oh, now you eat and now you could go to this little beach. And,
yeah.
You know, but I guess that's a little better than I think like the most crazy thing and probably the best thing that's happened for COVID is no cruises.
Yeah.
That cruise people is like the weirdest group of people.
Well, it's definitely like, a cult. How is that? It's a cult.
Fun?
I mean, to me, I'm just like, well, why wouldn't you just go to like, or why would you want to be trapped on there? The only type of cruises I see is like if they go, I went on a cruise once in college. It was like in the Mediterranean. So that was totally different because you're off the boat each day. So you get to literally see different countries every day.
Right.
So that was kind of cool if you've never like, I had never been to Europe, so I kind of got to, it's kind of like a fast track. Like you get to see a little bit of each country and then maybe you decide what you like, go back and see it. So that was but that was different. It was almost more like a tour, like, you know.
I remember growing up, I had this one aunt and she would like periodically go on like cruises, you know, their family, like my cousin stuff, they would go on like cruises, you know, like to like, you know, Atlantis or whatever from, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Jamaica or something.
Some like cheap cruise, and I remember them like always like say that they'd like open up water bottles and like fill them with vodka to like smuggle vodka on so they could drink for free. You know?
So they didn't
and I remember thinking, I'm like, I want to go on a cruise. That sounds so amazing. I was like so envious and jealous of that. And then like, it wasn't until I was like much older, I was like, wait, no, that's just like complete trash. Like it's not cool.
It's funny when I remember that too, being little and like seeing people go on cruises and you were like, oh,
I thought they were like the richest people in the world.
Oh my God. I was like, that is so insane. Yeah. You're going on a cruise. Like I couldn't even wrap my head around it, thinking it was just so cool. And now I'm like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do is be trapped on like a boat with like other people.
All fat slobs going through the buffet line.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Definitely.
Maybe if you have kids.
I'm happy I didn't get like pushed into cruises.
Yeah. But that like there's some people that's what they do they have cruises for all different types of people, like theme ones. It's insane.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah. I would just like to be on land more.
Yeah, or I mean, if you had like your own boat and you're like,
oh well, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure anyone would prefer to be on a personal yacht than a cruise ship.
Yeah,
but
not a cruise ship person.
Yeah. Okay. Is it normal to be nervous before a fight or competition?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal to be nervous for like lots of things. I mean, that's just I think it's probably
it means you care.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Put a lot of work into it. I mean, even like people that work in like an office, if they like have a presentation, they probably get nervous before that. Anything you put you know, dedicate your time and put a lot of work into something that you want, you know, it's normal to be nervous before.
I'm nervous for this Christmas spread this week.
You are?
A little.
Yeah.
Because I kind of am busy that day and I'm not going to have a ton of time and I just want to shine.
Yeah. You always shine.
I'm nervous for that day.
Yeah. You always shine. Don't worry.
I didn't get to enjoy it. But yeah, having nerves before a big event is important. Or is
normal.
Normal.
Yeah. Okay, last question we have is talk about your understanding of what an NFT is without Googling it. So I feel like this one's for me. I think I know a little bit.
Go ahead.
Non-fungible token. And I'm debating, like, should I be getting one? Like, is this like crypto? Oh, fun story I've been meaning to tell you. Let's sidetrack this. This happened, like, I kept a secret from you. This happened like a month ago.
Okay.
I thought I was locked out of my Coinbase account.
Oh boy.
My like coin wallet or whatever it's called.
What happened?
I went to like I got like an email like that.
You should actually give me the password to that, because I don't like.
Okay, so let me get to the start. So I went to like, I get like the notifications on it all the time, and then I went to open it and it said put in the password, and I it's like, that's weird. Usually it doesn't require that.
Did you write it down?
Yes, I wrote it down. Okay. And then I get an email from them, and it was like, Adam something, hey, Adam so-and-so, you logged out of your Coinbase account. I was like, what? And then I went to log in. I kept putting it in, and it wasn't working. And I was like, oh my God. And I would just like let it go for a day. And I was like, I'm not going to.
Did you not tell me this?
Because if I told you can't, I handle stress better than you. So I didn't want to like tell you, and then you would be like, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And it would be like really nerve-wracking.
I'm sweating right now.
I'm in it. It's good. You know that. It's
I'm
fine.
Literally sweating.
So I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is like what people on social media do. They lose. Like, this is why you don't invest in crypto, because it's not safe and there's no one to call. And then I realized I was putting the wrong email in. So I'm in. But this went on for like 5 days.
Write it down?
Yeah.
Where?
I can't say. I have the place where I have all my passwords, but I'm in. So, but for 5 days, I thought I was like, oh, like all the money.
How were you going to tell me?
I don't know. I was just so determined to get in. I just like, I would try and it wouldn't work. And I wouldn't try too many. I wouldn't like keep going. I just like put my phone down and walked away and like avoided it. And then I went back the next day and tried it like twice. And then I was like, avoided it. I don't know what happened, but I was using the wrong email, but something I don't even know.
Wow.
Crazy, but we're in. So anyway, back to back to NFTs. Yeah, so non-fungible token, it's like art, image. Apparently you can't screenshot it, which is so stupid because I could just take my picture of my phone and like whatever. I don't really I understand what it is, but like I don't understand like, I mean, they're like, oh, it's one of a kind. No one can get it. Okay, well, you can get a fake one. Like, no one really cares.
Well, you could say the same thing about the Mona Lisa, right? You
yeah.
Get a fake Mona Lisa, too. Is it really the same? No.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
So I think of it as like futuristic, like bling.
Yeah.
You know, like in like the early 2000s, like we said, like rappers used to get like grills and, you know, something to show off like wealth, right? You know, and people still like giant chains and jewelry and stuff like that. But this is like a different form of, it's like a flex. Like you'd get like a Rolls Royce to flex that you have money, but you could get this picture and flex, be like, oh, this is a, you know, $3 million or $300,000 like monkey picture. And
my issue, the only like negative thing I have about the NFTs are a lot of them are like the apes, and I don't like, they're like, monkeys are super triggering to me. Because when I was little, I got made fun of, and everyone said it in my class that I look like a monkey.
That's so mean.
That's so mean. So I want an NFT, but I don't want an ape one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
unless it's like going to make me a lot of money, then I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't know in terms of like to sell or buy. I know nothing about it, but I get it. Think of it like digital art or digital bling.
I mean, it's
valuable because it's valuable, that type of thing. Right.
So I think I'm pretty good there. I know. I want one. I just don't really, I wouldn't know where to begin to get one.
Yeah.
And I saw on TikTok this
like girl, that seems to me like crazy. We're like, crypto is obviously not like, crypto is crazy to not do it. Like,
right.
You know,
I think so too.
But NFT that like I definitely don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm old. I gotta go back to another Jake Paul fight, meet some
NFT
TikTokers.
people. Yeah, maybe they can teach you about it. I saw on TikTok this girl like you can make your own NFT, and she like on her iPad like made a design and did one, and she's like, oh, who knows, maybe like there's always weird stuff, so maybe it'll go. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool to make one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I'm into it. I want to know more, but I'm into it. But
maybe and get one.
Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe you can get me one for Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we got.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe or leave us a review, or even share the podcast. We hardly ever get shares, but we'd appreciate it. It seems like, we always say this, like people always come up to us that they like it, listen to it, but we'd appreciate like shares, reviews. I sound pathetic like that.
And I'm gonna say something a little controversial, but Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy holidays.